Teach your kid to talk. Don't let her scare people. The harsh voice cut through the airport lounge. A little girl clutched her stuffed rabbit, eyes filling with tears, unable to make a sound. Her mother, wearing a black suit, face cold and exhausted, pulled her suitcase back. No response. Every eye in the lounge turned toward them, half pitying, half curious. A man carrying a small boy stepped forward. His hands moved gently in sign language. She's saying sorry. She's not being silent. The little girl looked at him, eyes widening. Her trembling hands signed back. The mother froze. And this man, an ordinary single Dane, had just opened the first conversation between two silent worlds. Daniel Brooks was 38 years old, an elementary school teacher who'd quit after his wife died from cancer. Now he drove rideshare and took care of his son Noah, age 7. The boy was energetic, always carrying the sign language notebook his father had taught him to communicate with deaf friends at school. That morning, Daniel and his son arrived at the airport for a delayed flight. Next to them sat a woman in a business suit, Amelia Hart, a young CEO. Beside her was her daughter Luna, age 6, born mute. Amelia's expression was cold. She tried to hide her emotions while people around them looked at her daughter with pitying eyes. When Luna dropped her stuffed rabbit, Noah picked it up. He signed friend. The little girl's eyes lit up with surprise. Daniel smiled. My son learned sign language to talk to deaf kids in his class. He says silence has its own music. For the first time, Amelia smiled slightly. The four of them sat together at a coffee table. Luna drew a picture of 4 people by a window. She wrote in sign language, "Be brave." When the announcement said the flight was delayed another 3 hours, Daniel taught Luna how to count on her fingers. She giggled silently. The sound was different. Not a laugh with voice, but movement with joy. Amelia watched, something shifting in her chest. She'd hired a dozen therapists, specialists, doctors. All of them had tried to fix Luna, to make her speak, but this man wasn't trying to fix anything. He was just connecting. How long have you been learning sign language? Amelia asked quietly. Daniel glanced at Noah, who was showing Luna a magic trick with his hands. About 7 years, started when Noah was born. For your job? For connection. He looked at her directly. Words aren't the only way to be heard. Amelia felt something crack inside her carefully constructed walls. She'd spent 6 years protecting Luna from a world that saw silence as brokenness, fighting school administrators who suggested special classrooms, arguing with family members who whispered about therapy failures. She'd built armor around both of them. But watching Luna laugh with Noah, watching her daughter's hands move with confidence instead of shame, the armor felt heavy, unnecessary. Can I ask you something? Daniel said. Yes. Why do you look so tired? The question caught her off guard. Not the usual, how do you manage, or have you tried this treatment? Just, why are you tired? Because I spend every day fighting, she said quietly. Fighting people who think my daughter is less than whole. Fighting the world to see her as I see her. Daniel nodded slowly. That sounds exhausting. It is. Maybe you don't have to fight so hard. He watched Noah and Luna drawing together. Maybe you just have to show them what you see. Let them catch up. Tears pricked Amelia's eyes. She blinked them back quickly. Luna tugged on her sleeve, holding up a drawing. 4 stick figures holding hands. Above them, written in careful letters, family. But Luna had crossed it out, written friends instead. Then crossed that out too. At the bottom, in her uneven handwriting, happy. Daniel read it and smiled. I think she's got it figured out. When their flight finally boarded, Luna hugged Noah goodbye. A real hug, no hesitation. She turned to Daniel and signed, "Thank you." He signed back, "You're very brave." Luna's face broke into the widest smile Amelia had ever seen. As they walked to their gate, Luna kept looking back, waving. Amelia felt her daughter's hand in hers, small, warm, content. For the first time in 6 years, she felt something she'd almost forgotten. Hope. That night on the plane, Luna fell asleep with the stuffed rabbit tucked under her chin. In her other hand, she held the drawing of the 4 of them. Amelia took out her phone, hesitated, then typed a message to the number Daniel had written on Noah's notebook. Thank you for seeing my daughter, really seeing her. His reply came as they touched down. Thank you for letting me. She's remarkable. Amelia saved the number, labeled it Daniel, the man who speaks with his hands. Luna gives Daniel the drawing, Be Brave. He folds it carefully and puts it in his wallet. 3 weeks later, Amelia found herself thinking about that airport encounter more than she'd expected. Luna had started signing friend and brave constantly. She'd drawn pictures of Noah and Daniel on every available surface, and she'd been happier, more present, less withdrawn. Amelia had Luna's behavioral therapist review the airport footage from security cameras. She needed to understand what had happened in that waiting area. The therapist watched, then looked up with tears in her eyes. Ms. Hart, your daughter wasn't accommodated in that interaction. She was included. There's a difference. Amelia stared at the frozen frame of Luna laughing with Noah. She made a decision. She found Daniel through the rideshare company, called him directly. Hello? This is Amelia Hart from the airport. I have a strange request. I'm listening. Would you be willing to meet Luna again? She's been asking for her friend. I know it's unusual, but yes. She blinked. You don't want to think about it? My son has been asking about Luna every day. He made me promise I'd find her. So yes. They met at a park that Saturday. Luna ran straight to Noah, signing rapidly. Noah signed back just as fast, and they both collapsed in giggles. Daniel and Amelia sat on a bench watching them. I need to confess something, Amelia said. I had you investigated. Daniel raised an eyebrow. Should I be concerned? No, I just needed to know who you were, before I let my daughter get attached. She looked down. Elementary school teacher, widower, clean record, references that call you the kindest man they have ever known. Thorough. I'm a mother first, CEO second. I understand. He watched Noah push Luna on the swing. Can I ask what you learned about Luna? Medically, I mean. Amelia's shoulders tensed. She has selective mutism combined with verbal apraxia. Her brain understands language perfectly. It just can't coordinate the muscles for speech. So she's not deaf? No, she hears everything. She just can't respond with sound. Daniel nodded thoughtfully. Have you tried music therapy? 5 different specialists. None of them made progress. I don't mean speech therapy with music. I mean just music for joy. Amelia looked at him, confused. He pulled out his phone, scrolled through, found a video. After my wife died, Noah stopped talking for 3 months. Complete selective mutism. Trauma response. What did you do? I sang to him badly every night, not to make him sing back, just to fill the silence with something besides grief. Daniel showed her the video. Noah at age 4, watching his father sing off-key, slowly starting to smile. It took 87 nights, but he started humming along, then whispering, then speaking. Amelia watched the video, her throat tight. You counted the nights? Every single one, because each one mattered. Luna ran over, signing something quickly to Amelia. She wants to know if you can teach her a song and us, Amelia translated, surprised. With her hands. Daniel smiled. Absolutely. What song? Luna signed in a happy song. You Are My Sunshine? Luna nodded enthusiastically. Right there in the middle of the park, Daniel taught both children the signs for You Are My Sunshine. Amelia watched, mesmerized. Her daughter's hands moved with confidence. Purpose. Luna turned to her mother and signed, You try. Amelia hesitated. She'd learned basic sign language for necessity, but she'd never made it beautiful, never made it feel like music. Daniel stood, moved beside her. Here, follow me. He signed the first line slowly. Amelia copied, her movements stiff and uncertain. Don't think about being right, Daniel said gently. Think about what you're saying. You are my sunshine. You make me happy. Amelia tried again. This time she looked at Luna while she signed. Her daughter's face lit up like the sun. They spent the afternoon together. When it was time to leave, Noah and Luna exchanged drawings. Noah gave Luna a picture of them on swings. Luna gave Noah one of them holding hands under a rainbow. As they walked to their cars, Luna tugged on Amelia's hand, signing, Can they be our family? Amelia's breath caught. Sweetheart, They have their own family. But families can have more people, Noah said. Daniel overheard, signed to Luna. We can be friends who feel like family. Is that okay? Luna thought about it, then nodded. She signed, that's even better. In the car, Amelia was quiet. Mom? Luna signed from the back seat. Are you sad? No, honey, I'm happy. You look sad when you're happy. Amelia laughed, surprised. Her daughter was right. She'd forgotten how to let joy show on her face. That night, after Luna was asleep, Amelia texted Daniel, thank you for today. She hasn't stopped smiling. His reply, neither has Noah. Want to make this a regular thing? The kids seem to need each other. She typed and deleted 5 different responses before settling on, I'd like that. Maybe next Saturday? It's a date. I mean, not a date, a play date for the kids. Amelia smiled at her phone. I knew what you meant. Good, because I'm not good at this. At what? Talking to beautiful women who make me nervous. Amelia stared at the message, her heart racing. She typed back, you do fine with sign language. Is that what we're calling in this? Sign language? What would you call it? Honestly, hope. Amelia set down her phone, her hands shaking slightly. She walked to Luna's room, watched her daughter sleep peacefully, clutching a drawing of 4 stick figures. Under it, Luna had written, my brave family. The drawing of 4 people at the airport. Amelia keeps it, presses it into her journal. 1 month later, Daniel took a part-time job at a photography studio. Cleaning, setting up lights, basic assistance. The pay was decent, and the hours worked around Noah's school schedule. He didn't know it was Amelia's company until the first day. Hart Fashion Studios occupied the entire 3rd floor of a converted warehouse. High ceilings, professional lighting equipment, racks of designer clothes. Daniel was adjusting a reflector when he heard a familiar voice. No, the backdrop needs to be ivory, not white. We discussed this. He turned. Amelia stood near the main stage, clipboard in hand, every inch the CEO. Professional, in control, untouchable. Their eyes met across the room. She paused mid-sentence, recovered quickly. Continue with the setup. I'll be back in 10 minutes. She walked past him, her voice low. I didn't know you'd applied here. I didn't know this was your studio. Is this going to be a problem? Daniel shook his head. I'm just here to work, Ms. Hart. Something flickered in her expression. Pain, maybe, or disappointment. Of course. Maintain professional boundaries. She walked away, heels clicking on the concrete floor. Daniel felt like he'd just failed a test he didn't know he was taking. The morning shoot proceeded normally. Models, lights, the photographer barking directions. Then Amelia's assistant brought Luna to the studio. She insisted, the assistant said apologetically. Wanted to see where mommy works. Said she wanted to learn to be braver like you. Amelia's professional mask cracked slightly. It's fine. Luna, stay in the back, okay? Luna nodded, then spotted Daniel. Her face lit up. She signed, my friend. Every head in the studio turned. Daniel signed back. Hello, Luna. You look very brave today. You two know each other? The photographer asked. They're friends, Amelia said shortly. Let's continue. But the dynamic had shifted. People whispered, looked between Daniel and Amelia with speculation. Luna and Noah, who Daniel had brought because school was closed, played quietly in a corner, drawing, signing to each other, sharing snacks. Everything was fine until the accident. A junior lighting assistant moved a hot lamp too close to a fabric backdrop. The material was supposed to be fire-resistant. It wasn't. The flames caught instantly, spread fast. The studio erupted in chaos, alarms blaring, people screaming. Someone pulled the fire alarm. Everyone out, the photographer shouted. Move, now! The crew stampeded toward the exits. Amelia was pushed by the surge of bodies, carried away from the main studio toward the back stairwell. She fought against the flow. Wait, Luna! Where's Luna? Nobody heard her. The alarm was too loud. The panic too intense. In the corner where they had been playing, Luna and Noah were frozen. The smoke was thick, the heat intense. They couldn't see the exit. Luna was crying silently, hands pressed to her ears against the alarm scream. Noah held her hand, coughing. Daniel was outside, pulled by the evacuation. Then he realized Noah wasn't with him. His blood turned to ice. Noah! He ran back toward the building. A firefighter tried to grab him. Sir, you can't! Daniel shoved past him, straight into the smoke. He dropped low where the air was clearer, used his shirt to cover his mouth. The heat was incredible. His eyes burned. Noah! Luna! He heard coughing, followed the sound. There, in the corner, two small shapes huddled together. He crawled toward them. Through the smoke, he signed where they could see, "Be brave." Luna saw his hands. Recognition sparked in her terrified eyes. She signed back, fingers trembling, scared. I know, but I'm here. Take Noah's hand. Follow me. She shook her head frantically, pointing at the flames between them and the door. Daniel looked. She was right. The main exit was blocked. He scanned the room. There, the emergency exit he'd seen during orientation. Mostly clear. He signed quickly. Different door, trust me. Luna looked at Noah. Noah nodded. They crawled. Daniel led them through the smoke, one hand holding Noah's shirt, the other signing directions to Luna when she looked back. The emergency exit was hot to touch, but it opened. Fresh air hit them like a blessing. They stumbled into the alley. Daniel collapsed against the wall, coughing violently. His lungs felt like they were on fire. Noah and Luna clung to each other, both crying now. Firefighters found them within seconds. Oxygen masks, emergency blankets. Questions Daniel couldn't answer because he couldn't breathe. Then Amelia was there, running, her face streaked with tears and soot. Luna! She grabbed her daughter, sobbing, checking her for injuries. Then she saw Daniel on the ground, paramedics surrounding him. Oh my God, Daniel! She knelt beside him, her hand gripping his. Why did you go back? You have a son. You could have... He managed to speak, voice barely a rasp. Couldn't leave them. You know I couldn't. You could have died. So could they. He coughed hard. Wasn't going to let that happen. Tears streamed down Amelia's face. You stupid, brave, incredible man. Noah launched himself at his father. Dad, you saved Luna. Daniel hugged his son with shaking arms. You're both okay. That's all that matters. The paramedics insisted on taking Daniel to the hospital. Smoke inhalation, possible lung damage. They needed to monitor him. As they loaded him into the ambulance, Amelia climbed in too. I'm coming with you, she said. Not a question. You don't have to. Yes, I do. At the hospital, while Daniel was in examination, Amelia sat with both children in the waiting room. Luna signed to her, Is he going to die? No, sweetheart. He's going to be fine. He saved us. Yes, he did. Like a dad. Amelia's breath hitched. Yes, like a very good dad. Noah signed slowly, still learning. Is Luna going to be my sister now? What makes you ask that? Because Dad loves you, and you love him. I can't tell. Out of the mouths of babes, the press got hold of the story. Within hours, it was everywhere. CEO's daughter saved by janitor in studio fire. Amelia hated the headline. Daniel wasn't just a janitor. He was a hero, a father, a man who'd risked everything without hesitation. She called her PR team. Change the narrative. Now. By that evening, a new press release went out. Daniel Brooks, elementary educator and father, saves children from Heart Studios fire. And Amelia stood in front of cameras outside the hospital, looking directly into the lenses. This man isn't an employee. He's not a story. He's someone who taught my daughter to be brave and then proved what bravery really means. He saved my child without thinking about cost or risk. That's not heroism. That's love. Be brave becomes the motto pasted on the burn studio door, a reminder of the father who lived it. After the fire, Daniel took medical leave to recover from smoke inhalation damage to his lungs. The doctor said he'd heal fully, but he needed rest. Amelia visited every day. She brought Luna. The little girl would place a small handmade sign in his hands. Be brave, written in her careful, shaky letters. Luna calls you the uncle who speaks with his heart, Amelia translated. I can't argue with her. Daniel smiled, even though it hurt to breathe deeply. That's the nicest thing anyone's ever called me. I want to offer you something, Amelia said. A position. Consultant for a new project I'm starting. Amelia, you don't owe me. This isn't about owing. It's about what's right. She pulled out a folder. I'm launching Hands Speak, a nonprofit teaching sign language to children who are deaf, mute, or nonverbal. I need someone who understands both the technical and emotional side. Daniel looked through the proposal. It was comprehensive, ambitious, beautiful. I'm a teacher and a part-time janitor. I'm not qualified to. You're the most qualified person I know. You taught my daughter that silence doesn't mean she has nothing to say. That's the whole point. He wanted to say no, wanted to keep distance between them for safety's sake. But Luna signed to him. Please, help other kids like me? He couldn't refuse those eyes. Okay, but I have conditions. Name them. Noah comes with me and we do this right. No publicity stunts, no using these kids for PR. Agreed. They shook hands. Her grip was firm, warm, lingered a moment too long. The first Hands Speak workshop was held in a community center. 20 children attended, ages 5 to 12, all nonverbal for various reasons. Amelia stood in the back watching Daniel work. He was patient, he did kind, he made mistakes on purpose so the kids wouldn't be afraid to try. When a little boy got frustrated and threw his notebook, Daniel just signed, I get mad too. It's okay. The boy picked up the notebook, tried again. Luna and Noah were Daniel's assistants. They demonstrated signs, played games, made everyone laugh. At one point, Amelia tried to join in. Her signs were clumsy. She got the gesture for happy mixed up with silly. The kids giggled. She flushed, embarrassed. Daniel came over, gently repositioned her hands. Don't think about being perfect. Think about connecting. You're not teaching them to be like you. You're learning to understand them. His hands on hers sent electricity up her arms. Like this, she signed. Exactly like that. Their eyes held. The room disappeared. It was just them, hands touching, something unspoken building in the space between. A child tugged on Daniel's shirt, breaking the moment. That evening, after the workshop, Amelia helped clean up while the kids played outside in the supervised courtyard. Can I ask you something personal? She said. Sure. Why did you really quit teaching? The background check said you left voluntarily, but there was something in the file about a dispute. Daniel was quiet for a long time. My wife died in March. Noah went nonverbal from grief. I took time off to help him heal. When I came back, the principal told me I was too emotional to be effective. Said I was projecting my trauma onto the kids. That's horrible. Maybe she was right. I was a mess, but I wasn't hurting anyone. I was just human. Being human isn't a weakness. Try telling that to a school board. He smiled sadly. So I quit. Figured if I couldn't teach in a classroom, I'd teach my son. Turns out that was enough. Amelia touched his arm. You should know you're teaching more than just your son now. Yeah? You taught me that love isn't about fixing people. It's about seeing them. Daniel turned to face her fully. Amelia, I know this is complicated. You work for me now. There are optics, boundaries. But I need you to know. She took a breath. When I thought you might die in that fire, I realized I can't keep pretending this is just professional or just about the kids. What is it then? It's me falling for a man who makes my daughter laugh, who risks his life without hesitation, who sees silence as a language worth learning. Her voice cracked. I'm falling for you, Daniel, and it terrifies me. He stepped closer. Why does it terrify you? Because I'm good at being a CEO. I'm good at protecting my daughter. But I'm terrible at being vulnerable, at letting someone in. So am I. After Sarah died, I thought I'd never feel this way again, that I'd never want to. He cupped her face gently. But then I met you and Luna, and suddenly I wanted to be brave again. They kissed softly, carefully, like they were both afraid of breaking something precious. When they pulled apart, Luna and Noah were watching from the window, identical grins on their faces. Luna signed enthusiastically. Finally! Noah signed back. I told you. Daniel and Amelia laughed. I think we've been set up, Daniel said. by two very clever children. Should we be upset about it? Amelia smiled. Not even a little bit. That weekend, all four of them hung the Hands Speak banner in the community center. At the bottom, they wrote "Be Brave" in four different handwritings. Two adults, two children. All three people hang the Hands Speak poster on the wall, where "Be Brave" is written in four hands. Too big, too small. 1 year later, the Hands Speak Community Center opened its doors for the grand launch. A bright, welcoming space designed specifically for nonverbal children and their families. The main hall was packed. Parents, educators, local politicians, press. But Daniel only cared about what was happening on stage. Luna and Noah stood together wearing matching Hands Speak t-shirts, ready for their performance. The music started. "You Are My Sunshine" played softly through the speakers, and the children signed. Every word, every phrase, their hands moving in perfect synchronization. The audience was silent, transfixed. Amelia stood in the wings, tears streaming down her face. Her daughter, her beautiful silent daughter, was singing with her whole body. When the song ended, the entire room rose to their feet. Applause thundered through the space. But Luna wasn't looking at the crowd. She was looking at Amelia. She signed, "Did I make you proud?" Amelia climbed onto the stage, knelt in front of her daughter. "You make me proud every single day. Not because of what you can do, but because of who you are." Luna hugged her mother tight. Noah joined them, then pulled Daniel onto the stage too. The four of them stood together, a unit, a family. After the official ceremony, after the press had left and the crowd had thinned, Amelia found Daniel on the empty stage. "You did this," she said. "All of this. You made this happen. We did this together." She took a breath, gathered her courage. Then she began to sign, slow and deliberate. "I need to tell you something." Daniel watched her hands, his heart racing. She continued, fingers shaking slightly. "You taught my daughter to speak. Now I want to speak to you." He signed back. "What do you want to say?" Her next signs were careful, each gesture loaded with meaning. "Stay with me, with us, with our family." Daniel felt his throat tighten. "Are you asking me to move in?" "I'm asking you to build a life, not because it's convenient, not because the kids need it, because I want you. Every day, every moment. I choose you." He pulled her close, pressed his forehead to hers. "I choose you too. I've been choosing you since the airport, since you first smiled, since Luna first signed Brave." They kissed soft and sweet, while the afternoon sun streamed through the windows. A giggle made them break apart. Luna and Noah peeked out from behind the curtain, failing spectacularly at being subtle. "Were you two spying?" Amelia signed. Luna's grin was unrepentant. "Yes. And now we're a real family." Noah added, "Finally, we've been waiting forever." "It's been a year," Daniel laughed. "That is forever." Both kids signed in unison. That evening they went to dinner as a family, a small Italian restaurant, nothing fancy. Luna and Noah sat side by side, chattering in sign language about everything and nothing. Amelia reached across the table, took Daniel's hand. "Is this real? Am I allowed to be this happy?" "Why wouldn't you be?" "Because I spent so long thinking I had to choose. Between career and motherhood. Between strength and softness. Between protecting Luna and letting her fly. You don't have to choose anymore. You can be all of it. Because of you. Because you let me in." That took courage. Outside, they stood under the restaurant awning, watching the city lights twinkle. Luna tugged on Amelia's coat, signed, "What are we?" "What do you mean, honey? Are we friends? Are we family? What do we call this?" Daniel knelt down to Luna's level, signed by, "We're people who chose each other. Is that okay?" Luna thought about it seriously. Then she signed, "That's better than family, because family you're born into, but we picked each other." Noah added, "We're the picking family." Everyone laughed. As they walked to the car, Amelia looked up at the Hands Speak sign glowing above them. Under it, in smaller letters, "Family is not where we're born, it's where we're understood." She squeezed Daniel's hand. He squeezed back. And somewhere in the city, another parent struggling with a nonverbal child saw the sign, made a phone call, took a chance, because that's what they'd built. Not just a program, a community, a promise that silence doesn't mean unheard. The hands speak sign glows bright. Below it, a small inscription: family is not where we're born, it's where we're understood. Family isn't where you're born, it's where you're understood and chosen every day. If you believe healing stories like this deserve to be told, please leave a comment and subscribe to Hidden Heart Stories. We tell stories that shouldn't be forgotten.